Ask people in the pub their opinion on crop circles, and you'll get a range of answers. The film you're about to see is a result of an objective approach to lift the lid on the real causes behind the crop circle phenomenon. I started by looking at crop circle researchers' efforts so far, and I have to say I was not impressed by most of them. Many are not scientifically qualified. They make far-fetched assumptions and use language which is ambiguous at best and meaningless at worst. They provide pseudo-explanations of how circles are formed, but clearly have no true understanding of what is going on. Some researchers, however, are more objective in their approach. Robert Hulse and David Cayton have been investigating crop circles since the mid-1990s and are well known for their activities in gathering and analysing physical and photographic evidence. I started by asking them how far back crop circles go.
Oh well, I mean, they've been around for hundreds of years. Certainly going back to the 17th century, the mowing devil woodcut is an example of that. But I feel that the early fairy rings, which were flattened areas of grass or crop, could well have been early examples of the crop circles that we see today.
Okay, and these older circles that are basically recorded in history books, shall we say, what kind of patterns are we talking about?
Well, more likely simple circles, I would say.
Yeah.
Becoming a bit more up to date. In the 1920s and the 1930s, and even during the war, 1940s, people in the farming industry in those days remember when they were kids, they'd play in them, they'd find them on a regular basis.
What countries are they appearing in now, and are there any specific areas in this country and other countries that they appear to occur in?
Well, they're all over the world, aren't they?
Yeah.
But, you know, latterly you've heard from in Scandinavia, Italy, Germany, France,
Canada,
yes,
quite
America, of course.
a few in Canada.
Canada are probably good ones there.
Yeah.
And in this country.
And in this country, it appears to be focused on one particular county. Am I right in thinking that?
Yes.
Wiltshire and then Hampshire second, I think, in terms of numbers.
But Wiltshire mainly.
Yeah.
And I think it could have something to do with the ley line system, which seems to be concentrated very much in the Wiltshire area, with Stonehenge and particularly Avebury and the area around the Vale of Pewsey.
The long barrows, the stone circles, as Robert says, Avebury, and that men have erected Silbury Hill, of course, is still a mystery why Silbury Hill was there, is a link with our past, and maybe that's what they're trying to say. We are linked to your past.
The people who built Avebury, for instance, built it there because they were well aware of the energy, and I'm quite sure they used that energy for various purposes, possibly healing.
And am I right in thinking that the complexity has increased over the last kind of 10 or 15 years?
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s, they changed to what they call pictograms, and you started getting different shapes, and a number of circles linked, or oval shapes.
And is that predominantly in the UK then, or has the complexity...
Yes.
Because I did see one in Holland that was a very complex shape.
But the more complex shapes started in the UK and then appeared in Holland later, much later.
And my understanding is that you believe that some crop circles are man-made, whereas others are not man-made. Now, can you explain to me how you distinguish between the two?
Well, just going back a place, we've learned along the way. I mean, we made mistakes when we first started, and we would give a crop circle the thumbs up as being the real McCoy. When looking back, we realised they weren't.
And when you say real McCoy, you mean that it hasn't been constructed by man?
Mechanical means. Yes.
Right, okay. Via a mechanical means. Okay, carry on. So you've made a mistake, and why was that?
Because we were not recognising all the signs, and we were new to the business. It's a learning curve, and everyone wants to believe, including us, that the formation we've gone into, which reminded me of a bit of a trek on foot to get to them, you want it to be the bee's knees.
Yeah,
you don't want to be disappointed.
Yes.
You know?
We didn't want to be critical. We wanted to find the real thing.
Right, okay. And when you actually got down and started examining these things in detail, tell me what you started to find.
Well, first of all, as you go into the formation, you can immediately get an overall impression
Yes.
by the general lay.
Yeah.
You know, either it's very, very flat or it looks a mess.
Yes, I mean, the genuine crop circle is almost perfect.
Yeah.
The lay flows like water
Yeah.
flowing down a stream bed, you know.
Okay.
The man-made ones, because they are mechanically stomped, for the most part.
In a half sort of pace, you get sort of bunching or layering of the crop, the seed heads.
Yeah.
This is the implement, which was confiscated from Hulse and Roy Dutton.
And these are done using a plank of wood attached to some rope, which somebody will basically stomp out.
Stomping board, yeah.
That's right. But the genuine ones are so fluid. Mm-hmm. There are no mistakes. There are no acute changes of direction.
And what about any other clues within the crop itself of boarding?
Yes, well, the board impacts the stems and damages the stems. So that's something you have to really get down hands and knees job to look closely, and they're not easy to see unless you know what you're looking for.
We've just come in the formation and disappointing immediately to find physical evidence of mechanical damage, and the lay is very unimpressive, very flat, and there's board marks all over the place, which is a terrible disappointment in view of our high hopes of moments ago. And down here, just as an area in one of the spiral paths near the centre, and you can see board mark, board mark, board mark, there and there and there.
You can miss them, as we have done in the past, I guess.
Yes.
So the leading edge of the board, as it strikes the stem, is causing an injury to the stems and causes lines of creases. So if it's like a 3-foot board, you'll find rows of stems more or less lined up. And when you turn the stem over, that doesn't occur on the opposite side.
Well, if we walk into this small circle and come over here, I have a feeling that I found the board marks fairly easily this time. Oops, a daisy. And here we are. If we come down here, we can see that we have a board mark, and if we come over here, we have another. So we have two of them fairly close together, which is how they should be. A row of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
My finger, there's a typical crease there, and I'm bending it slightly, and then you come back towards the camera a little bit, and there we've peeled off the outer sheathing of the, and you can feel that with your fingernail. And then if you come back even further to where the tip of the dowsing rod's pointing, there's another one. It's again not too deep. You also can see a bending there. You can see how the crease bends back, like you do with your finger.
Yep.
So on the other side it will be okay. You turn it, squish it round, and there's no mark on that side, because as you turn it back, the edge of the board, the leading edge of the board, the plank has hit the crop there as it's gone down.
That's right. We have 3 on this stem here, but I've come across here a little bit further. We just rub the bloom off a little bit. I mean, just look at those. We've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5